Oh yeah.
Time is it?
It's podcast time. Episode 31. I think I said it last week. This is actually episode 31. I think I missed it last week. I pulled up my list first this time. My bad. Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation stuff. Pelosi yelling at Wolf Blitzer. Did you see that one? That was pretty fun.
I heard a little bit about it.
I was, for those of you following us on Facebook, I put a post up earlier today of all the shit that I got from the Manis couch campaign this week. I got like 7 different flyers just from this one seat. And I listed off who all sent them, like who they were from and stuff like that. So, yeah, that kind of stuff. So I succumbed to the party chair's request, and by the end of the weekend, I will have every candidate that I'm allowed to vote for in my front yard. So right now, Manis and Couch, they both have signs in my front yard.
Doing your civic duty.
Right. To confuse people and be like, they don't know what the fuck's going on in that house.
I'm for everybody.
So, episode 31, almost agreement. We're underway. Yeah, so I succumbed to the you shoulds, because both the party chairs simultaneously told me I should do something, and then I called them out for telling me what to do with my life, just to be a dick. And then it's actually kind of funny. Like, I thought about it prior, but it's happening. Every party sign, or every candidate, at least that I've had in here, plus the presidents, I'll have their signs in the yard by the end of the weekend. So George, Massey, Manis, Couch, Trump, Biden, Bradshaw, Haggerty, and Hoyas, and whoever she's running against, Elaine Davis, I think. I got to get an Elaine Davis sign. So Matt Shears brought all the Democrat signs over, and I took a picture of it, sent it to Randy. Said, Randy, this is what Matt gave me, so give me the other halves. And then the missus said, we're not putting a fucking Trump sign in my front yard. And I said, well, if we're not putting the Trump side up, I'm not.
Are you serious?
I'm not putting the
Biden.
People? I'm not putting the Biden side up either. And she's like, oh, if you're doing that, I guess we have to do both. I was like, okay, cool.
Oh, Jesus. Not put a Trump sign up.
I mean, I wouldn't, if I wasn't doing the joke, I wouldn't either.
Well, so today we are driving down the Interstate 40, runs all the way across America. And there was like 3 vehicles. I don't know if there was a fucking parade in town or whatever, but there was like 2 trucks with Trump flags.
Johnson City.
Well, I was not in Johnson City.
Yeah, but there's one going on this weekend in Johnson City. I'm assuming they were on their way there.
Big rally?
Yeah.
They were heading the wrong direction, unless they were listening to Wagon Wheel, and they thought that Johnson City was the other direction. But anyway, there was like 2 trucks and then a car, and like there was this car in front of us, and Jen was like, why is that lady halfway hanging out of her car, like trying to like hold up a tiny bitty sign or something? I was like, I didn't see that. She's at that car right there, and they like race in front of us and like try to get it next to the main truck that had that sign hanging out, and they get close to them, and then they like finger out the window, fuck you, yelling and screaming, and like the whole time, and we're like, holy shit, like literally 2-3 miles down the road with their finger out the window, flipping them off,
screaming and yelling at each other driving down the interstate.
Well, no, the Trump people, they weren't doing anything, they were just driving.
Right, but the
people that, I'm not gonna say they're Biden fans, but the anti-Trump fans, like they were pissed, and then they ended up getting off the interstate, and we like pulled up, and it was like an old couple that was like 90 years old, and I'm like,
was the Trump truck?
The Trump truck, yeah.
It was
like an old couple that was like 90 years old, and it was like, why are you so mad at people?
Well,
because they have Trump flags. Like, what makes you that mad at those people to be like, fuck you, you motherfuckers, I hate your guts, I hope you fucking die and burn in hell, because of the party they support? Like, these people didn't do anything wrong. They were not like driving all the road. They were not like doing anything other than supporting the person they want for president.
Right.
But why does that piss people off so much?
Did you guys watch The Social Dilemma like I asked you to?
No.
Well, that'll answer your question for you.
I think it was just guilt by association. They just, they project, what they see what Trump doing, and they project that everybody else is like, oh, you're okay with, XYZ of every bad thing that Trump's ever done. They just assume that, if somebody's supporting him, that they know all of his bad deeds and they're just okay with it.
Because I'm a fan of Michael Jackson, I'm good with him diddling kids.
Right.
It's the same premise. Is like Michael Jackson makes amazing music. I like Michael Jackson's music a lot. You're good with people fucking kids? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing is, people like you can't have a disagreement. You can't be like, I'm a Trump supporter. They're like, well, he did all this stuff. Well, all the stuff you're talking about him doing is shit you saw on Facebook or fucking internet. Like,
so that's the premise.
Someone posts like a fucking post. Donald Trump has been having sex with 3-year-olds the last 3 years. People are gonna believe that shit. Like,
right,
it doesn't matter if it's true.
Not that specific part, but that's what the point of the Social Dilemma documentary is. They're talking about how pretty much everything that you go online to get, like especially if it's Google, Facebook, Twitter, any of the major players or whatever, you get a targeted response. And so apparently one of the things is, depending on where you are, you can Google, Google will autofill differently. And the one they use in the movie or in the documentary or whatever they're talking about, if you say global warming is, and then the autofill kicks in, if you're in certain places, like by geographic location, Google will say, like, Google will fill in is a hoax, or will fill in is overblown or overplayed or all politics. And other depending on where you are in location, it'll be is the demise of the universe or demise of the planet and stuff like that. And so depending on where you are, Google kicks out different responses.
Are you sure about that? Like, they said it had to do with location versus browser history.
The way the documentary pitched it is by physical location on that specific one. But you're not wrong either, in that sense that a lot of the other stuff is specifically targeted to you as an individual, because they pull data points and they, like, theoretically they know you better than you know you. Yeah. And they will autofill, or they will suggest things, and like your timeline in your Facebook has nothing to do with reality on the speed of when other people put stuff up and shit like that, or who your friends list is. It's stuff that the algorithm knows that you're more likely to spend more time on, so they can squeeze an ad in there somewhere. And the problem is that it's not even on purpose anymore. Most of the people are like, it wasn't an intentional thing. It was the algorithm just figured it out. That's what the algorithm was on there to. Most of the algorithms are built to get you to engage more.
Right.
And it's not about feeding. It's not specifically about feeding anger and discontent or whatever like that. But the algorithm figured out that for a large number of people, they're more likely to interact more often with stuff they disagree with and start fights over. And so again, I guess the real point though is that, like, on this driving example that Max just put up, is that it's these two individuals have their set of information, and there is no truth to either. It's their own truth to their own echo chamber kind of shit. And there's no, like, in their minds, they're right.
Well, no, that has nothing to do. Like, no, you're off base on what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with what you think about certain candidates. But how are you so mad that you're gonna drive next to somebody and fucking tell them to fuck off? And I mean, not just I've done less to people that have cut me off in traffic. Why did that generate so much hatred toward those people just because of the political party they are favoring?
Because because the way the social media works is it the facts that you are basing your opinion on this other person on are your version of the facts. So, for the example, the people that are yelling and screaming at the old couple in the Trump truck, the facts that what they believe to be facts from their information circles tells them that Trump and Trump supporters are, a whole litany of terrible things, and they are a threat to the country, and they're a threat to their family, and they're a threat to their lives. Not as directly as cutting them off in traffic, but the cutting off in traffic is a quick thing, and it passes, and it's no longer a threat once that person cuts you off and guts down the road. But supporting Trump is going to put him in for 4 more years, which is 4 more years of hell and things getting worse, according to your circle of information. And then Trump supporters, inversely, have the opposite outlook on Democrats, and that the Democrats are an existential threat to the American way of life, and they're socialists and all that kind of shit. And when all of your source material is curated to keep that bubble intact, then you truly feel that a Trump supporter is whatever litany of bullshit that we all hear about all the time. You're racist, or you're misogynist, and you're xenophobic, and all the different shit that everybody says about Trump supporters. But that's because that's the facts that they think they have.
Well, I'll tell you, that kind of shit and the shit I've seen, it makes me want to vote for Trump, because the people that are flipping the Trump supporters off, running up to the cars, ripping the flags down, running in people's yards and ripping their yard sides down. I've yet to seen any kind of video on YouTube or Facebook or anything of somebody running into Biden yards and ripping Biden signs out.
Well, to turn local,
look for it. I'm sure it's there.
And
it goes both ways.
And to turn local on it.
No, you're absolutely wrong. It does not go both ways, because social media, I see posts from all over the fucking country.
So are you listening to all of what I talked about in the social dilemma? The social media that you're seeing, the YouTube videos that you're seeing, YouTube and Facebook know that you're going to interact with those more, so they're showing you those more. If you actively go out and look for the opposite, you're going to find it, but you're not going to find it in the same volume, because YouTube wants to feed you the one that you already see and that it already knows you interact with.
No, what do you mean interact? I don't interact with any of it.
It knows how long you have it on. It tracks how long you watch a video.
If I'm flipping through videos, whether it's a guy running up stealing Trump sign out of a yard, I mean, I would watch that the same length as if it was somebody running up and stealing a Biden sign out of the yard. Like most of the shit that I've seen, is not. I've not been like, oh, that's fucking Biden, or let me not watch that video or whatever. It's just a random stream of videos.
But as I said,
I don't like them. I don't do anything but just watch them.
But it's not actually random, is my point. It's not actually random. Your internet activity makes the algorithm think that you are more likely to spend more time watching this certain set of videos. And you might be right, and that it doesn't matter what sign they're stealing, you're going to watch the video because you think it's funny or whatever. But for some reason or the other, the algorithm thinks that you specifically like watching Trump signs getting stolen. Because on a more, I guess...
But how does it know that? I don't interact. I am a very, very, a ghost on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that shit. I don't like shit. I don't forward shit. I don't comment on shit. I'm just flipping.
I mean, what's the last thing you bought on Amazon? Personally. Well, let's be.
No, there's nothing I've bought on Amazon that would be like.
So you haven't bought any hunting gear or anything recently?
Well, I bought hunting gear in the past, but.
I just sent you a YouTube video of like one of the top 2 things that popped up of stealing Biden signs.
Well, and again, the other one too is that it may be he may be conflating, or not conflating it, but inflating the seriousness of it or not. But Matt Shears of the Knoxville Democratic Party Make sure I say that right. I'm sorry, Todd. I fucked up last week. Anyway, the Matt Shears was telling me that they've had a number of the Virginia Couch large signs get stolen or damaged around Knoxville. Now,
Well, I mean,
if he's full of shit just because he's trying to push the narrative, fine. But I mean, that's as much evidence as I have for a local version of it, and I have no reason to doubt that that's the truth from Matt.
Right. I mean, it definitely goes both ways. You can't say that one side does it absolutely and the other side.
Well, here's the thing, though: is we're talking about two different things at once right now. One, we're talking about whether or not YouTube is feeding you stuff specifically.
well, no, I don't do YouTube. I'm talking about TikTok, which I don't like or anything on TikTok. It's just going through videos, which TikTok is the new YouTube. So I don't think I have a history of stuff I watch more or less, or have a like or dislike of anything. So
No, I would think it's also tied into your whatever browser that you use on your same phone.
It figures it out, but it's all in there somewhere. There's math. It's all math, but
I don't care. I'm telling you bullshit.
okay.
There's more in Democratic people stealing signs and pissed off at Republicans.
And to be fair, I won't say you're wrong because I don't know. But the reality is that it happens both ways. Whether it happens more one way than the other, I can't answer that because I don't have the stats. I don't know that the stats would exist or could exist. I mean, we talked about that last week with both when Matt and Randy were in here and we were chatting about that. That was our first topic. Is both of them were talking about how they are losing signs. And Randy made the joke of we need to put out a press release that says thank you to all the sign thieves, because every time you steal a sign, that person buys another sign, and that contributes to the campaigns.
I didn't think about it like that.
So when you steal a sign, you're helping this person, the person whose sign you stole, not the person who lives in the house or the place that the sign was. But if you steal a Trump sign out of a yard, you are helping the Trump campaign because
You're
9 out
supporting
of 10 people will go buy another sign to put back in their yard, and that purchase goes to fund the Trump campaign.
That would be an awesome ad.
Right. Steal my signs. I love it.
Yeah, please steal my signs. You're donating to my campaign.
Right.
I'm like, oh shit, fuck that.
Thank you for. I mean, but that was Randy's joke on the show last week.
Yeah.
But they were both talking about how they both had a number of candidates there. They've had issues in signs getting stolen or damaged out of people's yards specifically, and that's the grossest version. Like if it's
it's a common passive aggressive thing. It's something you can just hop out of your car real quick, grab a sign when nobody's looking, and then they're like, I took the sign out of their yard.
We didn't talk about
it. It's like, no, you didn't really win.
Right. You actually lost because now that we know this fact. But
So here's a question, Seth.
Go.
If going off your algorithm for that, they're showing me these people stealing Trump signs because of whatever I'm searching on Facebook. But most of the videos of the people that are stealing Trump signs are people that are pro Joe Biden posting these videos of them going out and doing this stuff, stealing Trump signs and doing all that stuff.
Okay.
So
they know that you like Joe Biden or you like Joe Jorgensen.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so by that case, that should mean that my internet searching and all that stuff is pro Joe Biden, not pro Trump. Because if all my internet searches have to do with Trump and being Republican, then the videos I should watch should be more of people that are like, we're Republicans, we stole this Joe Biden sign, right?
I don't.
What are you more likely to react to?
No, not even that. I don't know how the algorithm works specifically. I don't know what it thinks, why it thinks certain things make sense to put in front of you to engage with you, and whether engage counts as just spending time watching the video before you scroll to the next one. That even though you don't hit like or comment or anything, it still counts as engagement when you stop and watch the video for a second. It knows exactly
So,
how long you watch it. I don't know what it is that the algorithm does the math that says that you like Joe Biden signs getting stolen more than you like Trump signs getting stolen, or vice versa, whatever.
but shouldn't the algorithm show me stuff that, like, I like Facebook? If I mention something, then next thing you know, I'm getting ads because I mentioned that, because they think, oh shit, he must like this. Let's try to sell him this shit. So it's forcing stuff that I like in front of me. And what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a bunch of stuff I don't like in front of me. So
Right. I mean, the fucked up part of it definitely goes both ways. As in, they will put things that will elicit any kind of response. I mean, if they say that or if they basically see that you are constantly acting on negative things, you're getting on there. I know a guy, one of my friends on Facebook. He's constantly, talking shit. Like anytime Marsha Blackburn posts something, he'll respond and like talk shit.
Right. So
well, everybody should talk shit about Marsha Blackburn.
also true, but
I don't disagree, but I mean that's the thing. I mean, Facebook is realizing that every time a Marsha Blackburn is, you're responding.
right.
I
It's
mean,
not
and
about like
that gets one more view, that one more comment, that one more like or unhappy
right. The algorithm
face.
doesn't care whether you like it or not.
It's
It
what's
cares
getting
whether
the most
you
reactions.
engage with it. And again,
with it.
engage
If you
with
share
it.
something, that's sharing something with all your friends or anybody else that
Right,
likes.
but engage with it also counts as how long you watch the video or how long you pause on a certain post. Whether even if it's a reading post, like if somebody posts a story about a cat with a picture, but you read the whole damn story. If you read the whole damn story, you've paused on that post for 10 seconds instead of the half a second to scroll to the next one. And it knows that, and so something about that kicks into the math, and the math kicks it back. And again, to answer the main point of the question, I don't know how the algorithms actually work, like what specific things they use to target you, but they know it.
I would dare to say they don't really know either.
Right. That's part of the
point with like AI, and like we're asking a computer to figure shit out, but we're not 100% sure like how it's figuring certain things out.
right.
So
Because it's
so in
looking
that
for patterns.
case,
I mean, you give something, you put
the internet thinks I'm a Joe Biden fan.
not necessarily, no. Because like you said,
Well,
it was showing you, it was
it's
showing you
showing me-
Joe Jorgensen posts over people that were stealing.
No, he was talking about Joe Biden
No.
people posting
talking
videos
about-
of them stealing Trump signs.
Well, no, I can't say that they were Joe Biden supporters. I'm just saying I see a bunch of posts of people running up to cars, ripping their flags off, running their yards, stealing Trump signs, like, and those are posts from people that are like, haha, look what we did.
Right.
Not the homeowner going, I can't believe this shit got stolen out of my yard, from their like camera of their house or something like that.
Right. I don't know. I don't know how it knows what it knows, but it knows that you will watch those videos. And maybe it's thrown a Biden one in there and you don't spend as much time watching it for one reason or other. Maybe you didn't even consciously or weren't even paying attention and scrolled past the video. And so it saw one video that had a Biden sign in it getting stolen and you didn't even watch it. So it doesn't bother you sending you those anymore. I don't know how it knows what it knows.
But the whole point of at the beginning of this conversation was, I don't understand how this, Trump Biden makes people so much upset that, like, I don't know you from Adam, but I'm flipping you off like you about wrecked my car.
Right, and again, one of the things is one of the contributing factors, at least according to this documentary, is that the way social media and Google and Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and all the other ones, the way that information is fed to you, the facts aren't the same. So there is no central fact of whatever. There is the politics example that we're working on right now. There is the Republicans and the Democrats, and then the circle of facts that support one or the other. And so this lady's flipping off the bird, screaming at her car at the old couple driving down the street with the Trump sign. Their information circle that they get through their social media life tells them that it's not just some person who has different views on the way this country should be run. It's that Trump supporters are X, and then we can fill in the blank of all the terrible things that you hear about certain Trump supporters. But
I see what you're saying. So you're saying that it's kind of like if somebody had a white supremacist flag flying, and they're like, I don't know how you can believe that, but like, where did we get this in society that is like?
Well, it's the George Floyd thing. Like, so George, like the Derek Chauvin thing, or whatever the fuck that asshole cop's name was. Is that right? Anyway, it's that thing. It's that somehow the way the social culture works, at least the social media culture works, is we all saw that video, and depending on how your circle worked, all cops were bad. And people are reacting to that. Defund the police movement, all that kind of shit turns, yes, there are shitty cops out there, but you have this one specific event that has one majorly asshole cop that way overdoes it, and a couple other cops that don't step in and do something about one cop being out of line or whatever. Like, and then the story is all cops are bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the same premise of that. You know, that one Trump supporter who is a fucking asshole, or the hundreds or thousands of them that are actually out there, but they get the screen time and their stories go around through the internet. And it's not unreasonable to believe that is a Trump supporter when every Trump supporter you've seen through social media is the worst version of one. Just like every cop you see on, like, I mean, how many, there's some out there, you see them every once in a while, and they're the best when you have the cool cop videos where, you know, you were telling the story a couple months ago about the one who did the baby on board thing.
Uh-huh.
The cop pulled him over and was like, you don't have a car seat for your kid back there. Why isn't there a car seat in here? You gotta have a car seat if you got a baby. Like that story.
Yeah, I know exactly what
you know, and there's a handful of those, but comparatively you see, you know, the Derek Chauvin one, or the Kenosha cops one, or these different like terrible cop stories. Those are pounded in and everybody fucking knows them. And so it's not unreasonable on the information that the normal person gets to see all these terrible cop stories and assume all cops are like that. It's stupid, and people should be smarter than that. But when you live your life inside of a social media platform and its algorithm does what it does, it's not unreasonable for you to make that leap that all cops are bad, because all cops you ever see in your social feed are shitty cops. So same premise, instead of cops, it's Republicans, or instead of cops, it's Democrats, instead of cops, it's Muslims, instead of whatever. You can break it down whatever you want. If your social media circle is insulated enough, it's going to push that narrative to you that all of that other group are the worst version of it. And that's the problem with social media. And it's not, and again, like Sam was saying, it's not even intentional at this point. It's not like some asshole wrote the algorithm going, oh, I'm going to make people go fucking crazy. No, it's the algorithm. They wrote the algorithm to get people to engage and spend time, because that's how they sell ads. And the algorithm's the one that figured out, well, if I piss people off, they spend more time. And so that's how we got to where we are.
Yeah, I mean, like surveys. I mean, I ran into it with a previous job. You know, we sent out a survey to every customer. You know, people are more likely to respond if they're angry versus, you know, if they had a relatively good or great experience. Like, those people are less likely to respond to that survey. But if you had a bad experience, you're more likely to get on there and put on that you had a bad experience.
Right.
So when you look at reviews, it looks like that place was really shitty. But when you look at it, it's
right.
They've had a million reviews. 8 of the people that reviewed it, you know.
Right, and they've had a million customers that didn't give a shit enough either way to say anything.
The majority of people that actually did respond, right, like, just were those people that were pissed off.
Right, that's kind of one of the running jokes on Rogan right now. It's like, you know, like, Biden's ahead significant points in the polls. It's like, well, who the fuck does these polls? Not operates the poll. Who takes them? Have you ever been surveyed for a political poll?
Not after, like, leaving voting or anything like that, no.
But even like now, like
even
right
outside of that, no.
Like right now, they're, you know, it's like Biden's ahead like 17 points in the popular vote nationally, on like the Real Clear Politics poll. Who the fuck takes those polls? People that care enough to spend the time to take those polls.
I mean, you see like Marist polls, which I think that's just like a phone poll.
Right. What I'm saying is like, who does that? Because I mean, like, I don't know about you guys. I answer my phone religiously. I know Max does. If my phone rings, I answer it partially because I have a good time giving telemarketers and stuff shit. And so if a pollster called me, I would have answered the call. Now my wife, on the other hand, doesn't answer her phone barely at all, but she certainly doesn't answer it if it's not a program number.
I'm in that camp.
Yeah, and so
Just because I don't want to like, because a lot of them are the robocalls, and if the
Right.
robocall senses that you pick up, that just keeps you on the list. It's like,
Right,
oh,
they
well,
call you
they
more.
actually pick up.
Yeah, and I mean I'm still mad because the really good scammy ones, they never get me when I'm here, so I can hook them up. I'm waiting so hard. Oh, that reminds me. I need to do that. I'll fuck it. I sent that picture out. The Knox Dems are doing a ride to the polls program.
Yeah, you did say something about that.
Yeah, it's a flyer they had on Facebook, and it's running around the different Democrats that I follow on Facebook because they've been on the show and stuff like that. And I'm curious, like if I call them and say, "Hey, I need to go vote for Trump. Can you give me a ride?" If they'll pick me up.
Oh yeah, I was curious to see what they say.
So it's the actual like Democratic Party that has
Yeah, it's
started
from
this busing.
No, I mean it's not a new thing. People, it's been different groups and organizations have done it
Yeah,
over the years, and I don't know if it is the party,
if it's party funded or whatever.
if it's party funded or party sponsored or party organized, maybe is the word. But yeah, it's from the Knox Dems.
I'll try it and be like, what's the number you need to call? I'll call it, and we'll see what they say. I'm like, hey, I need to go to the polls to vote for Trump. Can you come pick me up?
Yeah,
And see what they say.
yeah. We'll have to do it. You'll have to come over so we can do it on the so we can record it. But
Damn, from your house and drive me to Halls? I don't think they're gonna do that.
they don't have to do it
Oh,
right
yeah,
then and
not
there.
if you do it during early voting. They're just going to take you to the closest one.
Right. Early voting. You can vote in any of the early voting centers. I mean, I'll do it this week. I'll sit down and do it this week just to check it out. But I'm curious. I mean, probably shouldn't be talking about this on this show. I'll have to do it tomorrow. So before I release the episode.
Why not talking on the show? What?
That's right. Yeah, they're still doing it tomorrow. I didn't think early voting went on Sundays, but
I don't know if it does
think
or not. But I need to make the call tomorrow, so I get
I
it.
think according to the dates, it was early voting was this date to this date. So I'm assuming that still goes on Sundays.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll have to do it before I release the episode, so Matt Shears doesn't put a heads up to the callers or to the call center to make
If
sure
you
that,
get a call from this guy,
because but like and again, I'm not. It is a story that I've heard before, and it's
hearsay. You don't know if it's true.
right. And I've never been as active as I am right now and paying attention to politics, and so I wouldn't have seen this last election. So I have and again, like the whole premise of the other side of this show where I have people come on and candidates come on is because I want answers to questions that I don't know the answers to, and I want to ask the people that actually can answer questions. So I have an opportunity to find an answer to a question, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist in other places, but we'll find out how they do it here.
Well, shit, that might be like,
or it could be an explosive story.
That's what I'm saying. It could be like a springboard for our show. That like you do that and record it and then post it, and then they start sharing it. Next thing you know, CNN is interviewing you about your podcast where you had this thing on the show. Like,
fuck CNN. I want Joe Rogan.
All right, Joe. Like,
I want to go to Teja.
But you know what I mean? I mean, it could.
I don't know.
Blow up very fast, but
if I go on the Rogan show, I got to get COVID tested. He tests everybody.
Is he doing that?
Everybody that comes into his studio gets tested.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he just signed $100 million deal with Spotify. He's got the money.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter because I'm pretty sure that the Joe Rogan is not paying for the fucking COVID tests.
Why not?
Huh?
Why wouldn't he be paying for him?
because I would think that most of the people that want to come on his show want to come on this show.
Oh, but he still pays for it. Like he flies people in. Like he pays for flights, and like even when he was still in his old LA studio, he'd fly people in.
Really?
Yeah, like he'd pay for him. He'd pay people. He'd pay people to be on the show.
Huh.
Really?
Yeah. Like so, especially someone
That's
like
great.
not that like
okay.
not. I mean, some of his comedian friends that aren't as big yet,
Yeah.
he would pay them as guests, just to help him out. But like especially like
Some of,
professors,
like the big names, yeah.
right? Especially some of like the professors and stuff like that aren't high paid individuals. I mean, they make a decent living or something, I guess. But like he's like, yeah, come on, I'll give you. I don't know how much it is. I've never heard him say specifically, but I've heard him say a number of times on the show that he pays people to come out sometimes.
Huh.
But I mean, he's had big names like Neil deGrasse Tyson and.
No, see, I don't. I think for those, I don't think he's paying for those. I think,
think so?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, he's certainly not paying for any of his like political people that he's had on, but I think that'd be illegal. But like he pays, like I don't think he's paying because I mean, for most people, it's good for them professionally, whatever their job is.
Yeah, I mean, for what? Yeah, he has been like the #1 like podcast like in the world or whatever.
Yeah, for a long time. I mean, he's made careers for plenty of people, especially in the comedian world. But I mean,
right.
Even people in the not like I mean, I won't say he made Jordan Peterson, but he certainly took Jordan Peterson to another level. If you know the Jordan Peterson story.
Nope.
I don't know the story. Like I know he's a big name. I assume he'd been a big name before that.
Well, so he is a professor in I think the University of Toronto. He's Canadian, Canuckistani, if you will. That's one of my favorite. I don't. That's from one of the podcasts I used to listen to. They call him Canuckistanis, so it cracks me up. Anyway, and so he's a clinical psychologist. That's his field, and he teaches it. And he's also a practicing clinician in psychology or whatever. And so Canada put in was working on a compelled speech law, and he's like, that's not okay. And the compelled speech was that you were required to use the preferred pronoun of individuals. And he's like, say again?
What does that mean?
It means that if you want me to refer to you as she or her, then I would be required to by law in Canada, and that was the law that was trying to be put in place.
That's crazy.
And that you could be fined or jailed for using the improper pronoun on an individual. I don't know. I don't know how detailed it goes as far as like if you didn't know any better, if you could still get fined.
Like, hey sir, your total is this. You're gonna fucking fine.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how.
That just cost you $1,000.
Right, and his whole thing was, and this was like it was just one of those like he got all sorts of shit on campus. A bunch of students were trying to get him fired and all this different shit. And he's like, listen, I don't care. I'll call you whatever you want to be called. But when the state being the Canadian government is making me say certain words, there's a problem there. And it opens a door that we don't want to go down as a species. And he's doing this all from his clinical psychologist background. He's like, it is a problem for us as human beings, as members of the free world of Canada, that our government is telling us what words we can and can't use. That's a problem. And we should not be okay with this. And the cancel culture of Canada went after him hardcore, trying to get him fired, trying to do all this kind of shit. And Rogan heard the story and brought him on the show to tell the story. And I mean, it'd been going on for a while. Rogan wasn't the first to interview him about it, but it went from, he was, losing his job and fighting with the university he was working for, as well as fighting with the Canadian government about what this is. And, Rogan kind of turned him to the next level. Same thing with, it's Weinstein.
Yeah, Weinstein.
The Weinstein brothers. There was the Evergreen College story in Portland. I can't remember what the outrage thing was that he kind of lost his shit at the school for. Oh, yeah, anyway, I don't remember the backstory on that one too. But like where did we start on that? I lost my train of thought. Anyway, that's the Jordan Peterson story, as I understand it. I mean,
Case closed.
I mean, no, but I mean, you know, and he's still out there. He's lost his. I mean, he's not as big a deal anymore. He got real sick. He went into rehab for anxiety meds. His wife, what was it? His wife has got real sick with something and had a bunch of surgeries, some cancer or some shit. And he'd been touring and doing all sorts of stuff, and like got hooked on some anti-anxiety shit and went into rehab for a while. He's back out though and doing stuff.
Every once in a while, I mean, I'll see like little things pop up on YouTube about, you know, I guess some of the speeches he's done. Some of them related to like, you know, anti-feminism, where he's gone on some kind of talk show against like a, you know, predominantly feminist, you know, speaker or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's really just
a few different issues. I guess he's kind of railed against.
Right, and I mean, his is the. Yeah, I don't know. He seems. I get what he's getting after for the most part. Like, is it like he has no issues with the trans movement as it stands, but at the same time, it's like, are we okay with a complete amorphous gender roles in the world? Is that really what we want? You know, as we progress forward as a species, we don't have gender roles anymore. It's just everybody, period. Is that going to function as a society when we don't have some of the traditional gender roles?
Well, I mean, I guess it goes down to, like, I mean, that's the thing about the whole gender roles is like, what do you want to be called? What do you want to, you know, it's like, so can you just decide? And I'm not saying that there are not people that, you know, believe they were born, you know, a man or whatever and feel a certain way. But where do you draw the line where, you know, being homosexual is now a protected class? My boss is an asshole, so I'm going to use that. That is a reason why I didn't get the job or I don't work there anymore. Like, where do you draw the line? Because if you're, you know, a female, well, I guess that goes not female, but like if you're African American, I can't decide that I want to be African American because it benefits me in this situation.
I mean, people have tried. That chick from
the head of the ACLU or whatever, that lady.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is,
there's a professor that just came out and was like, I've been lying about my ethnicity for a while. Like, she's self-canceled.
Self-canceled.
Yeah.
But it just, you know, where do you draw that line? Like, I don't.
I mean, it's one of those it's one of my hopes, I guess, and so far I'm coming up short in my hope is that, I mean, I acknowledge that there are people that care, but, you know, like we were talking about last week in the Army stuff with AC, it's like, if they can do the fucking job, let them do the fucking job. There shouldn't be a special standard. It should just be the standard. And I don't care. You know, it's like way back when I was talking to lawyer Jamie, and what'd he say? He's like, it's too bad that Marsha Blackburn's a total cunt, because she's the first lady senator from the state of Tennessee. Who gives a fuck? I don't care that she's the first lady. I care if she's doing a good job or not. And she's not. She sucks. I hate her.
Yeah, she's horrible.
The her part doesn't matter. I don't dislike her because it's her. I dislike her because she does a shitty job, and I don't like I don't like that she's a mini Trump for the state of Tennessee. That's why I don't like that senator.
She's not a mini Trump for the state of Tennessee because she used that as, I'm a Trump supporter, but like her stance and what she does not go along with Trump. It was just a way for her to get more votes because we have fucking sheep out there. All you people listening, you are a bunch of sheep.
Hey, my job.
How do you think that she differs from Trump?
I mean, I'd have to check the record, but I'm pretty sure she's anything Trump's put in place for her, she's voted with.
Yeah, I'm talking about that.
She's also a Republican, so that's not abnormal for Republicans either.
Right.
No, but I mean, I can't think but I did not vote for her. I mean, when I went down, I ended up voting for somebody I knew didn't have a chance just because I could not vote for her, and that was just going off of her past stuff. Now, could I list it for you? No, I can't list it for you. But when I was voting, I could not vote for her.
Right.
Even though she supported Trump and she was a Trumper, she was just a piece of shit person.
Right. And it continues, like, it's something we've joked about before. It's like, I think those same sheeple, if Eddie Manis was running on pro-Trump stuff, even though his job would have zero to do with it, I think people would respond to that. And I think that's terrible on us as voters. I think we need to understand who's running for what and then what the job is. And it's something I'm still working on. I'm still trying to figure out because...
Right, but to the layperson, most people would assume that anybody on a Republican ticket would then agree with what the higher level Republican, be it, state senator, national senator, would agree upon.
Well, I agree with you, and that's why she got elected, is because people were like, oh, she's a Trump supporter, so that's they did not look at her as a person, and so that's the only reason I can think that she actually got elected, because she
had the R next to her name.
Exactly, and that's sad. I hate that.
I do too, and we need to. That's what one of my goals in this is to expand that. I wish, and I've got Eddie scheduled for a week or so from now, and I intend to ask him why he just didn't run as an independent.
No, he knows he probably would not have won as an independent.
I think that I don't know. I think he could have. I think he could have had a good shot.
No, but you need to phrase it properly.
What do you mean?
You need to be like, just looking at your history, you seem like it's more independent. Like, why would you not just run as an independent and see what he says? Like,
yeah, I have to go back and listen to the last one because I inferred it last time.
No, but like, if you just said, did you run as an independent because did you run as a Republican because it was an easier nomination? Like, then that puts them on the defense of why they have to prove that they are
right. He's already got enough issues with proving his right. He has enough problems with proving his Republicanism enough.
Exactly, but if you phase it of, man, you seem like more like a, independent. That's just it surprised me that you ran that. Then he'd be like, because you're complimenting him on whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's just my crazy idea.
No, I mean they're not wrong. I could definitely stand to prep more for my interviews. Probably won't, but I could. Yeah, so I don't know what else we got going on. Board of Health still doing their things.
Yeah, well, I could not find the proof of it, but we'll ask Sam his opinion if he's heard anything like that. So the other day on a commercial, it was talking about, wear a mask, COVID's a real thing. If you care about your fellow man, you should wear a mask everywhere you go. And it was a whole thing. And at the end, it said, brought to you by the Health and Human Service, paid for by U.S. citizens. Which, I don't know the last part, U.S. citizens, but I remember it. I was like, paid for by me? Like, is that, like, who's paying for that? Is that our government? Is that, like...
If it said Health and Human Services, yeah, that's part of the federal government.
I mean, there's a state Health and Human Services as well, but...
Oh, is there? Oh.
If that, yeah, well,
But either way, the part said that paid by, it reminded me of a political thing, like, where they have to put...
I'm Joe Biden, and I've approved this message.
Yeah, paid by, but it's Joe Biden.
Come on, man.
Joe Biden campaign.
Come on, man. Joe approves this message.
But it was paid by, U.S. citizens, or I can't remember the exact terminology, so I don't want to quote it wrong. But automatically, I was like, "Why am I paying for this?" Like,
all right, and so the first main question is, or the first like, for a mini backstory, we did talk. Max and I did talk about this last night, off air, and my first response is, it's pretty important what the actual statement at the tail end was, because one that I didn't think of last night that I thought of while you were retelling the story, paid for by U.S. citizens doesn't mean that it was a taxpayer paid thing. It could be a group of people who were so who felt so who felt the need to put that information out. They paid for it and they're U.S. citizens, so that's a factual statement. But what you're really alluding to is, let's for the sake of conversation, we're assuming it was an actual government body that did it, which then therefore means it was actually taxpayer funded. And your argument is, why are we taxpayers paying for an advertisement why are we paying for a public service announcement? Period. I don't know how to follow that other than that. Like,
no, yeah.
And I mean, so, and again, we talked about this last night, and the first, and this comes back to the social media conversation too. It's like, the first thing we have to establish is whether or not this is real. Is coronavirus real? If it is, then yes, it's in the best interest of the U.S. government and other government bodies and the taxpayers as a whole to do their best to help educate the public on how to properly survive and function within this, so that we can get through it as a society. If it's fake, then it's fake and it's a big old fucking mess of bullshit. And then the complaint of a taxpayer paying for it makes sense. And so there's two conversations we can have, but the first conversation is whether or not the coronavirus is real. And then the second conversation is whether or not taxpayers should pay to educate the public on how to do the best we can with this thing. And so the second conversation depends on the first. So the first one is, the coronavirus pandemic real?
Yes.
That's a conversation. Like, yeah, that's a I don't even know how to put it, because I'm kind of sick of talking about.
I agree.
So the funny thing is, the only reason I'm going to say this is Alabama, Nick Saban.
Yeah, no, you're right, because he had it this week and then he didn't. I mean, the same thing that happened with Trump. He had it, he had it and then he didn't, and it was, and especially after everything we've been told over the last 8 months, and the time periods it takes once you have it, and all that different kind of shit. You've got Saban that had it tested positive 4 days ago.
Yeah,
but he's on the sideline right now. I'm assuming blowing Georgia out. I don't have the game on. Or Trump for that matter. And hell, we were talking last week about how AC was bitching about how much, no reasonable leader is going to take his fat, happy ass back into the White House where he can infect more people. He should have stayed at the fucking hospital. I'm pretty sure that was the quote out of AC, something close to that. But he has tested negative, going into Wednesday when the debate was supposed to be. He had tested negative like 4 in a row.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is I don't know if it's... I really wonder if it's accurate, because, Saban tested positive, and then he paid a bunch of money to go get tested or whatever, and then he went and got tested, and then he's negative. So,
all right, so if you want to bitch about taxpayers paying for something right now, you need to bitch about the state of Alabama and the taxpayers of the state of Alabama that contributed to the 17 tests that Saban had taken this week. That's something you want to bitch about, taxpayers spending money on something they don't have to.
Some of that came out of the university.
It's a state school. They are funded somewhat through the state. I mean, they get state funds.
Right.
But that
would come out of like the football programs money.
Right. Which
Yeah,
Which
they
is
can't
to
get
still
as
state
much-
funded, but it's still.
It cut out of the extra jackets and jerseys and shirts and
Right,
let
that
the players
extraneous
wear.
bullshit.
Yeah.
nah, it came out of some like it came out of the history department or something like that. Is probably what actually happened. But
That's probably more accurate. That they can't do.
that
We're not cutting into our football. Do you not see how many national
that
championships
Spanish
we have?
that Spanish teacher got less of a kickback to pass the offensive line for their Spanish 201 class
Yeah.
than he would normally get because they needed to save some funding for all the coronavirus tests. But okay. So anyway, I derailed what you were getting at as far as, we had all these things in place, and this was the timelines. Like I have an acquaintance that I know whose kids on the Bearden football team, and they had a little outbreak on the team, and they had the whole shutdown or whatever. And for whatever reason, it ended up being 24 days of lockdown or of quarantine for that family. Because it ended up being everybody on the team had to take the test, and it took like 8 days for the test to come back, and then it was 14 days after that. And so it ended up being like 22, 24 days or something like that they quarantined before he was allowed to go back to school and allowed to go back to football and all that kind of shit. And so this history that we've had for fuck ever on how to deal with it when you have a positive, and then we have Nick Saban 5 days, and he's back to normal. Trump was a weekend?
Yeah, about that.
5, 6 days, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
And that's where we are. And so I'm not going to say it's fake, but I will say that it is a little bit troubling that somehow now all the rules have changed, especially if you have something important and you're more important than me or you.
No, I agree. And so, but I mean, the big deal is okay. So did these rich people, Trump, Nick Saban, pay somebody off so they could have a better test, or was it just proven that the tests are not completely accurate and you have false positives? And so that's the question I have to ask is, are we serious? Is this a thing? Or is it not a thing?
I mean,
You know,
I don't know. In regards to Saban, I don't know what kind of medication he was given. I mean, with regards to Trump, I mean, some of what I read was he was given what would cost most people like $100,000 if they had to go spend the time he spent and the drugs that he was given. So I mean, some of the drugs that he was given were for people that were on ventilators or that had been giving an excessive amount of oxygen, like supplemental oxygen. Not that necessarily like people that just for the hell of it were on oxygen. People that actually needed oxygen. These were the drugs that were prescribed for like that specific subset of people. Was the drugs that he was receiving.
okay, so what?
So, I mean, we essentially, threw Hail Marys at everything that Trump had and essentially gave him drugs that were only given to people that were on ventilators, that were, incapacitated. And for what,
the real thing is what people can afford.
Right.
What people can normally afford. Yeah, that's the real situation.
I mean, I don't know if it's so much that. I mean, a lot of times when you're in a hospital, I mean, the doctor's not asking you, what can you afford? I mean, the doctor's saying like, hey, we would like to give him this drug, and there's really no much like choice in it. It's not there's like a second person you can ask like, hey, are you okay with us giving this experimental drug? Generally it's up to your doctor's prescription of what he recommends you be given.
Yeah, but a lot of that has to do with, people don't know what insurance companies will cover. I think that's...
All right, but you would think that the doctors aren't really looking into that, like, hey, can this patient afford what I'm about to prescribe to them? The doctor's saying, like, hey, this is what the patient needs, you would think, assuming, the best. The doctor's saying, like, hey, this is what the patient needs. the cost shouldn't really factor into that decision whatsoever.
But I think a lot of doctors don't. They're going off of, what they know they can't prescribe this or cover this. They're not doing experimental medicine just on every Joe Blow around.
Oh, I mean, the doctor and or the hospital has a liability if that experiment fails miserably.
Exactly. And if you have money and you want to say, I want this, I think you'll be able to get it. I think that's Nick Saban. He flew to the testing site to make sure that he could get the test done prior to today. I mean, that's not a normal person. Normal person doesn't have that ability.
Right.
Yeah.
But how do I word this without sounding shitty? What is the negative impact on a normal person if they wait 2 days to get the test from a normal place instead of flying to a different place? What is the impact on Nick Saban if he waits till Monday?
Yeah, I mean, a normal person waits, but that normal person, if they wanted that test early, I'm sure they could have figured it out. How do I get it back early? Who do I need to pay? What do I need to pay for that? That's the point I was making. Like, there's exceptions if you have money.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
That's all I was saying. I was
right.
saying.
But I mean, it still goes like.
So did Nick Saban test positive, and then he was like, "What does it cost me? $50,000 to have a negative test?"
Maybe. I mean, I think it's funny. Like UT got fined for, not having or for breaking COVID protocol.
I think that had to do with fans. I read something that had to do
they
with
were talking about it during the
fans
game
or
today.
Sidelines.
Yeah, they were talking about it during the game today. Anybody on the sideline who isn't a player has to have a mask on all the time.
Right, but I think that was rulings that were prior to this game, so which would mean the past 3 games, 2 games?
Yeah, this was game 4. So.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I think that came down to a ruling of something that happened within the past 3 games.
Right.
I don't think that was necessarily what was going on in this.
Right. No, it was. The fine. The fine came out sometime this past week. That on the sidelines during a game, obviously before today's game, that there were coaches or other staff that didn't have masks on. And it's like
I thought I read something that had to do with like the fans as well.
I know.
It went against the university or something.
I didn't hear the fans part, but they were talking about staff, player staff, coaching staff
on the sidelines.
Yeah, and it's like
it was like $100,000 fine.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you go back to game 1 in the NFL. What was the coach? Peyton from New Orleans.
Sean Payton.
Yeah, he got fined. He got fined for not doing his mask properly or something like that in game 1. And
really?
It's like, yeah, and he's been wearing like the really cheap standard paper mask since. Like he did, like everybody, like all the other coaches you always see, and they always have like Gators or, some like team branded. It's got their colors and stuff on as their mask.
It's more of like or
the shields,
clear shields, yeah.
Right? Which is fucking stupid, but that's a separate thing. But so Sean Payton's been wearing the blue and with the little white stripe and the little metal band that goes over your nose thing.
Yeah,
he's been wearing that since. But again, like I don't understand that. Like I don't like it doesn't make sense to me. If they're all there, their testing protocol is at least a couple times a week. What is the, they're in the locker room with the players. They're doing all the other stuff with the players all the time. Who are they possibly? Who are they not in enough contact with that if somehow they had it and didn't test for it, if they if they skipped a test or something like that and had it, who are they not in? They're in enough contact with these guys all the time anyway. How does it matter that they have a mask on the sideline? It's like masking up with your family. I mean, it's like you have to wear a mask in your house with your family. I mean, these coaches are around these kids.
Well, it's the assumption that these people are going out to dinner, going out wherever. every single night.
The coaching staff is like all
that
these,
somebody is, yeah.
but the players don't have to wear masks all the time. They don't
Oh,
they don't
do
go
they-
out to
Did they not
dinner.
on the sidelines? I don't know.
No, they don't. The players don't have to wear masks at all, other than their actual like helmet to keep their face intact with the mask that goes on their
I
helmet.
haven't watched what games I've seen. It looks like most people on the sidelines have masks on.
I mean, for the most part, I haven't seen any players with masks on the field or on the sideline. Now, come December
I mean, I would assume
Green Bay,
that,
they'll all be
that
wearing
same
masks.
rule would apply to people on the sidelines and the coaches.
No, it's
So I don't know why they would differ the
it's-
coaches versus any player not playing at the same time.
yeah, from what I've seen of it and what I understand of it, it is non-players, it is coaching staff, medical staff, the coaching assistants, all the people on the sideline that aren't players are the ones that have to wear masks by the SEC rules.
Gotcha. I don't know.
Which it just sounds weird to me. It's like these people are in tons of contact with each other all day, every day.
Right. I mean,
What's the mask doing?
and surprise, the leagues that have done like what they call literal bubble leagues have not had an issue with it.
Right, that's true. I mean, I don't disagree with that.
So I mean, I don't see where the issue is there.
I don't see where. I mean, we've had reschedulings due to COVID outbreaks in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I don't think that it.
I think Tennessee is finally ready to play again.
Yeah, I mean, they played Tuesday.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, they played on a Tuesday because
I know they got
rescheduled
postponed at one point. I don't know if it
Yeah.
got pushed back again.
Yeah, I really
Now,
thought.
how does that work? Because according to COVID protocol, if someone tests positive, all the people you've been around has to be quarantined for 14 days. How does this go?
Because
like-
like we were just talking about,
Protocol,
they have
and then-
money and they go fly to the testing center and pay
Right,
$50
but-
grand for a clean test.
Okay, have we heard about any player not being able to play because of COVID?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a good question.
That's what I'm saying.
I know we have it as an IR option in our fantasy league. Is if we have a guy that has to sit out a week for COVID, we can put
No,
him on
but like-
IR without
So,
cost.
Michael Vick?
Michael Vick's not a
I
player.
Yeah,
Is he not
man.
anymore? Is he
No,
retired?
he's been on like the Fox. He's been on the.
Long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, remember that time he was dogfighting?
Never mind. Yeah,
Anyways,
I remember that time.
Went to jail for a couple years, played for a couple years, and then he just hasn't played since.
No, but what I'm saying is, if somebody has COVID, they can't come back a week later.
Sorry,
Not-
shit, what's his name? He used to play for the Eagles?
Michael Vick.
No, Michael Vick.
I mean, he used to play for the Eagles.
He did.
Michael Vick played for the Falcons.
And he played for the Eagles for
Oh, and then he played for the Eagles.
post dogfighting. He played for the Eagles for a couple seasons.
Sorry, played for the Panthers, and they just moved to the
Cam
Giants. Cam Newton.
Moved to New England. Yeah.
Okay. moved
Yeah, I
to
think
New
he.
England.
Well, no, because New
He
England.
tested positive within the past couple weeks.
Yeah, New England ended up
Hey,
having.
he's
Sorry,
still
that was
playing.
my reference. Sorry.
But he still played.
Well, no, that was one of the games they rescheduled, and I don't remember if he
Yeah.
played the game that followed that or not.
That was not the
No,
backup
they
to play.
rescheduled the game, but he still played in less than 14 days. That's
Well, I
my
mean, but
point.
right, but that goes back to the Saban issue too, is that they're, and I mean realistically, a football player is very unlikely to have any issues with this thing. I mean, it's not likely at all, as far as I
I
understand.
don't know. I can't tell you what the likelihood
But
nowadays.
yes, you're correct that that 14 days thing doesn't seem to apply to that echelon of people. So if you want to get COVID and go back to work within a week, you need to be a professional athlete, I think is what we're getting at, or the president.
And have, tests that come back negative that's over with. Which would be like, just the flu in general. You can go get a flu test and
You can't compare this to the
come
flu,
back
bro.
negative to the flu. Oh no, it's just like it, right?
I mean, oh, these are the jokes, people. But yeah,
But I mean, in all actuality, it is. The tests are to show if you have the virus in your system.
right. Your viral load
Right.
and your ability to transfer it.
Correct.
No, the test doesn't tell you your ability to transfer it.
The test should show if you have the virus in your system at the time to then transmit it to other people.
No, you either have it or you don't. There's no you have it but you can't transmit it.
Right.
Yeah, I thought you were saying it tells you that you have it and if you can transmit it.
No. I'm saying if you test positive, then you have the virus active in your system to where you are then, transmitting it.
Yeah. I was just commenting on Seth, like it tells you whether you can get it and transmit it. Like if you have the ability to transmit it, I'm like, well, if you have it, you have the ability to transmit it. Like the second part didn't have to come.
No, you're totally correct. Yeah, if you have it, you can transmit it.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was trying to say that the test told you.
He's so crazy. He's so crazy.
Or you transmit it. Yeah. Where did he run off to?
Yeah,
I'm sitting right here.
Yeah, you're crazy.
I'm going back 30 minutes in conversation. Remember when we said...
If you have it, you can transmit it. You're crazy.
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
Are you rewinding to listen to the footage to see what you actually said?
No, I was saying I was going to rewind to a point where you said, I'm so tired of fucking talking about it because I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Is 9 months too long to talk about this?
Jesus Christ.
I say that sarcastically.
I mean, sadly, reality is it is still a priority conversation to have, especially when some people don't think it's real.
This is a once in a millennia, literally.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Occurrence.
But I mean, okay, we could if we sit here and talk about it for another hour and do the rest of this episode on it. What changes? Does anything change about tomorrow?
No, nothing will change about tomorrow.
Are we more enlightened about the state of the world as it is right now?
Would you like to talk about the weather? Her oil prices.
I love oil prices.
Oh, I don't know. It's cooling off, but it's supposed to get fucking hot again this week. I'm not particularly pleased with that. It's supposed to get up to like 80 on Tuesday.
F that. It's fucking fall.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I keep getting my long pants out. It's like, all right, it's long pants time. Never mind. I'm gonna put my shorts back on.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a suitcase that I keep all my winter stuff in that I've gotten out just to have it ready, just in case like I need an extra like base layer, just because that's what I keep my winter stuff in. But I still got my winter t-shirts out, or my summer t-shirts out.
Right. Gotta figure this shit out.
I'm in that midway zone.
Jackets nowadays because I have pockets, more pockets to put shit in.
Yeah.
That's for me. It's like, oh, I got pockets now.
I get up and out the door in the morning, and sometimes it's really cold in the morning, so I got to wear a jacket out, and then I end up with like 4 jackets in the back seat of my truck because I throw them back there, and then when I come inside, I forget to bring them inside, and then the next morning when I'm going out, it's like, shit, I need a jacket. And then it's like, oh, well, I need to unload the closet from the back of my truck so that I have a jacket.
I think Max had mentioned the other day about the benefit of hoodies. And when I was working at the last place I was at, I'd never seen it before. There was a koozie inside of like the kangaroo pocket of a hoodie. And I thought it was fucking awesome. It's essentially a beer koozie inside of your little kangaroo hoodie pocket.
But
but also inside of your little kangaroo pocket was a bottle opener.
That's fancy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I was like, I've never seen this before. This is fucking awesome. I want one of these.
I have to find one of those. That'd be cool gear. It'd be a hard sell though. You got to explain to them the hidden bottle opener. So like the koozie mounts from the top, like so like
it mounts from the top and basically like the middle of the little middle kangaroo pocket.
Right. So you put your hands in the kangaroo pocket and you can hold the beer on the outside of the koozie in the pocket.
Yeah.
And then when you want to
also
swig,
inside of one of the pockets, I guess, is like a little loop that then has a bottle opener attached to it.
And so do you keep it in the koozie in the pouch and lift your whole sweatshirt hoodie up to drink out of it, or do you take your hands out, take the bottle out?
That's to your own prerogative.
I could see that being something funny to watch. Somebody just kind of like all hunched over, going trying to drink out of it while it's still in the pouch. I mean,
where there's a will, there's a way.
You got to figure it out. Well, there was that vape. There was a vape hoodie out for a little while.
What?
Yeah, and so like the string for your hood pull
Yeah.
was your mouthpiece, so you could put like your string in your like. And
It's like a separate hose, or you somehow connected that
no,
to
like
it?
yeah, it was a fake string. It was never going to be. You couldn't pull the hoodie tight. It would just be. It's just a hose that went to your vape.
So it's just like a separate little silicone hose that went down to your vape that you would then have to secure.
I don't know exactly how it worked. I didn't buy one. I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's all right.
I wouldn't.
I'm trying to think about it logically.
Right, just like trying to drink out of your kangaroo pouch. That's what I see.
Well, that's not the point of trying to drink out of it. Your main point is of that koozie is to literally use it as a koozie. I mean, when you put a koozie on a beer, it's not expected that you're drinking that constantly all the time. It's to keep your beer cool when you're
Right,
not
but you
drinking
don't.
it.
But when you have a koozie on your beer bottle, you don't take the koozie off your beer to take a swig and then put it back in the koozie. The koozie comes with it.
Right. I mean, it's a little kangaroo pocket to hold your beer, basically, with a koozie. So you've got your hands free. Yeah, you could also keep them warm with a
place
cold
to keep
beer in
beer
your little hoodie.
Right. I get the premise. I'm just following.
You're overthinking the ability to try to drink your beer from the koozie position.
It made you laugh, so I thought it just enough. I had a joke and it landed. I win.
I mean, and in rethinking this, I think the beer in your koozie in this hoodie position would be kind of hard to drink.
I mean, then that would be why it'd be fun to see somebody try.
It's a placeholder.
I get it. That's cool. Yeah, that would be an interesting thing. We should find out who sells those and offer them a sponsorship. Let them come sponsor our show. Since it's so riveting right now.
Koozie hoodies.
Koozies.
Koozies.
Hoodsies. That one might already be out. That might be racist too. I'm not sure. Hoodsies. Anyway, I don't know. I ran out. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, this might sound like shit, but you guys are gonna have to hear it. What was it I was trying to think of earlier today? The further note that I wanted to make it. This is my reminder note. And forget about, but not forget about is. Oh yeah. So redistricting. We've been talking about gerrymandering and shit.
Yeah.
Thank you, my little note thing, for not having to hear the whole thing because it's me talking to myself in the car, which is weird.
Reminded you.
But
yes.
it reminded me. So we've been talking about gerrymandering, all the redistricting conversation, and I had an idea, and it's just an idea. It's not a plan, but an idea for how to do redistricting in a way that would encourage the state legislature to do it in a way that's logical and reasonable instead of biased for their party. So the way it'd be the way I figure you do it is you have the minority party in legislation gets to redistrict. They get to do the redistricting. So in Tennessee, since we are a supermajority Republican, the handful of Democrats that are in the state house and the state senate would get to do the redistricting. And so the logical thing that you would think they would do is they would redistrict in their favor. But if they do that and win, then they are the majority, and then the new minority Republicans would get to do it in turn. One of the rules in my head, if you were to do it, the minority party gets to do it, and every time the body switches majority minority, the new minority gets to do it at that time. So if the minority every time manipulates it real hard in their advantage, then they become the majority, and then the other party gets to now manipulate it into their advantage, and it would either be huge swings back and forth, and every time we have an election, we would have we'd have a fully different body because it'd be the redistricting every time, or...
Right. That's what we've kind of run into. That's what we've talked about before, is that it's become like a kind of a tit for tat. It was
right.
Like, well, last time you guys were in power, you took these districts, and then
right, or
we're in power, we're going to redraw our lines in our favor, and then it's been a back and forth literally for years.
Right, or the realization would be that if we